So I have finished webinar 3 from the Somatic Institute for Women, the Shadow Self of the Feminine 3-day part webinar series. So I've just finished webinar 3, which was called Embodying Feminine Intelligence. Now this was quite a chunky webinar, so I'm not going to do loads of detail on it. I'll obviously link it down below again and you can go and check it out. There's 3 webinars. I've talked about 1 and 2. This one was talking specifically about feminine intelligence, which basically she means is female body intelligence. So as women, we have a cyclical nature. We have a 28-day cycle and we have hormones, and we live in a society that doesn't necessarily acknowledge our cycle. So hormonally, we've repressed a lot because it's not been palatable and accepted in the wider society. This has also made us repress our emotional feelings, and they live inside the body, and we're not very good at allowing them space. So what has happened is women over time have learnt repression of everything. So we actually have over time disconnected from our bodies. So this means we can feel a lot in here. And as women, you'll probably relate that you feel a lot inside your head and a lot inside your body. You'll have a lot of physical sensations going on all the time. And we don't actually tune into what they are or what they mean. So we're very good at saying, oh, I've got this tightness in my chest because I'm stressed about blah, 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 but it's not convenient right now because I've got to go do X, Y, and Z. What this webinar was trying to say is that the first step to kind of recalibrating what it means to be feminine truly is to listen to that feeling in your chest and give it space. Let it have a platform to be expressed outward, because we often hold it in. So if your chest feels tight and heavy, it's like learning very little somatic practices to be able to sit with it. So one thing that I've applied since listening to these webinars is that sometimes I'll have like waves of stress or like chest tightness or other physical sensations, things that my whole life I've just kind of been like, well, that's in the background, but I ain't got time for that, or like stress or whatever. Now I kind of invite it in and I say, okay, the rule and the job is not for me to understand why I have this. I kind of lead with this brain before this body. So my job now is not to understand what it means, but to understand it's there and give it space. So to say to yourself, I am feeling, anxious or stressed. In this moment, all I need is a deep breath. I need a moment, or I need 5 minutes to walk outside. I need to smell fresh air. I need to do a body scan. Whatever it is, your body kind of already knows what it wants to express. You just repress before it expresses, if that makes any sense. So you literally just stop that process from happening. So somatics is about doing little self-practices that remind your body that you're safe. One thing she talked about that's really important is that as human beings, we don't have enough touch. And especially if you're a very driven single woman, you won't have experienced a lot of touch and affection, but you can do exercises like holding oneself or stretches or, different types of touch exercises that will help you feel safe in your own body and remind yourself that you're there for yourself. And this all ties into what it is to be feminine and how to honour our cyclical natures, our needs and desires without it being in service to others, in service to the patriarchy, in service to other people's connections to us. So there were some really interesting things in this webinar, and how over time women have just disconnected from our sense of self. And one thing I've realised, and that she talked about in spiritual circles and in higher education circles, your brain has always been seen as the highest vessel, the most important thing. But we don't understand that our brain and our body has a constant connection, and we often think that our body is less than, so we ignore it, but it's constantly sending us signals and communications, and oftentimes we just ignore it. So she was saying that coming back into your body and actually being curious, what is that feeling, exploring it, feeling it, connects back to your brain because it's trying to send you a signal. Like, for example, the irony today, I've tried to film this about 4 times. I feel like crap today. And it's because your body is trying to say to you, you don't need to push and keep doing and keep being. And overcomplicating things. You need to be with your body. Your body's asking for slowing down, which is something she talks about through the term titration in her webinar. Slowing down, feeling the body, being present with the body. People do this through meditation. You can do this through walking. But she's saying like breath work is really simple as well. Just saying, okay, I feel a bit overwhelmed. Let's just take a couple of breaths and stay in this feeling. And one thing that I've noticed for me particularly is I rationalize my emotions. I don't express them. And I thought I'd been doing a great job recently of feeling my emotions. But through somatics is when you truly feel the emotion, because instead of saying, oh, I'm upset about blah, 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 it's cutting out this and it's saying, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I have this pang of nostalgia. I have this pang of pain or heartbreak. I have this pang of anxiety. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to hold its hand. I'm going to honour it and say, I feel a bit overwhelmed. Why don't I breathe into that feeling? Instead of saying it's not convenient, push it down, let me give it a couple of minutes of airtime. Breathe into it. Don't try and rationalise it, move past it, figure out how to solve it. Just be with it. And sometimes your body can then come back to safety and you realise you don't have to do something dramatic with it. Like, oh, I felt really like this sense of urgency. But I gave myself a few moments and now I feel okay. It passed. I stayed with it and it moved on. So somatics is about training your body that these feelings are not wrong, they're not bad, and that they have a safe space to land. And then that helps everything else. Whereas when you live too much in your brain, you stop the natural connection that you should have with your body. So it's really, really interesting. And yeah, it tied into the other wider webinars as well. But I feel like that's all I kind of want to say on it because it was quite detailed. But it was really interesting that as women in particular, we've just repressed things so much. Like as a woman, you will know you feel things at 100% volume, different intensities, lots of different physical sensations all the time. And you are so good at just saying, it doesn't matter. Like women's cycle pains, we don't talk about that because we're not allowed to. We don't talk about the rush of thoughts in our head and feeling overwhelmed and needing a breath in a minute. But she's saying that you can start self-regulating that. You don't need anybody else to give you permission to do that. So when you start saying to yourself, okay, I listen and I acknowledge, I don't need to go soul searching for why I feel this way. I just need to breathe into it. And like she said, we hold ourselves in, like you can't make certain noises and you can't do certain movements because of how it's seen. But she's like, when you behind closed doors, make all the noises you want, breathe deeply, sigh, whatever you want to do, shake your head, whatever you think is like not feminine or not palatable. She's like, start developing this relationship with just you and your body where you say, okay, I'll express it exactly how you want it to be expressed. And that can help you move through those emotions and realise that you don't need to repress this part of yourself. This is part of being feminine, tapping into your body and actually understanding the language of it. And that will make such a difference to how you regulate stress, anxiety, how you form connections with people, and how you decide to kind of move forward with your brain, because you stop giving so much airtime to things that just need to be felt rather than thought.